preacher in the year of '01. When you think it's all over, it's only begun.
Howdy, pilgrims, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Preacher versus Preacher. It's a comparison companion for the TV show Preacher, where we compare it to the book, and each week we get together, we do that. It's a recap of AMC's Preacher. Here we go, folks. That's how we're starting this
Take
one.
two.
Hey!
Take two.
Anyway, we directly compare the book to the show. The book is by Garth Ennis and artist Steve Dillon. I'm Bill Sweeney. I got my buddy Dominic.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back.
I got my brother Bob.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
It's the usual trifecta here. You might know us from the Wicked Theory podcast. Mm-hmm. If not, that's okay. But hey, maybe check us out over there.
That would be nice.
Yeah, get to know us.
Yeah, no big whoop if you don't know us, but get to know us. And then our friend Paula.
Get to know me.
Get to know me. She'll at the end of the episode, you'll hear her tell you how to find us and stuff. But we do a live podcast every Saturday night.
Paula's helping us promote the show again.
Yeah. I've been putting that into the mix, the ad bumper at the end.
Oh yeah, cool.
But if you want to get a hold of us here at this show, you can send us emails at pvp@wickedtheory.com. That's the email address. I forgot to give that out last week, so write that down, put it on your refrigerator.
That's why we're not getting emails.
That's why we had no emails. And that's why I also, before we started, I put out a little tweet on the Twitter account that is Preach vs Preach on Twitter, if you want to follow us, of like, hey, does anybody have any, we're going to record in a little while, questions or points or things that you want us to make sure that we discuss. And our friend Joe Kern came through a little bit, but we'll get to that.
Joe.
If anybody wants to hear us elsewhere besides where you're hearing us now, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. You can subscribe to us on those channels. You can rate us, and you can review us on those channels. If that's what you do.
Do it.
Do it. Just enjoy my cup of coffee. I need some energy for this one.
It's late.
This is a special. This is an interesting week we've had on the show. Spoiler warning: we cover the book.
The whole book.
The whole run of the
whole
comic.
book and nothing but the book.
Yeah. So can't give you spoilers for the show because we haven't seen all of that yet.
Right.
But we're gonna spoil the book. So if you haven't read all the book or if that bothers you, hey man, come back later or something, or sit tight. Either way.
I don't think we could spoil the show if we tried, though.
The
way things are going.
I've said that to a couple people. I'm like, I don't even know if this is gonna spoil anything, but since you're pressing for answers, XYZ happens. Right. I did get my weekly call from Ed, actually just a little while ago, of, hey, was that in the show? And I'm like, nope.
And just by hearing your half of the conversation,
the
little bit that I overheard, I was like, oh, that must be Ed.
Yeah.
It's becoming a weekly thing.
Yeah, you recognized it right away of me saying, no, that's not in there. Nope, that's not in there either. Nope, none of that.
Nope.
Cool. If you can only hear money on the end, oh, but I like that. I'm like, hey, well, it's good. You know, someone said I was like, hey, it worked.
There's a lot of good stuff in the show. It's just not from the book. So sometimes we bitch about it.
Yeah.
It's not to say that the show isn't good. It's just not the show that we have become accustomed to. It's not the story that we know. Yeah.
At times it's a little bit of a love-hate thing, you know, and that scale tips left or right differently for different people.
Yeah.
I wonder how other preacher podcasts are handling it. Like, you know, if they're just all like, hey, no big deal. You know, it's all what it is what it is. And, you know,
I've actually...
you know, I'm trying not to come across as much as we can that, like, we have a bug up our butt. Like, you know what I mean? But, I don't know. I guess at times we do.
I've checked out a couple, but I think we're the only ones that are doing a straight comparison.
Right.
So...
Any other ones they've read?
We're the only show that's really directly affected by the changes.
Right.
More so than shows that are just
that's
like,
good.
hey, we've read the book.
Right.
We love the book. That's why we're doing this podcast. But
so
we're not.
Every other podcast is just basically sitting there doing the same thing that we do when we're not sitting there going, okay, at 5 minutes in this happens, and 7 minutes in this.
No, they're doing a straight. For the most part, they do straight beat for beat reviews of the episode.
Right.
But they're not doing a hardcore like.
Right.
it's not geared to.
I thought maybe they were also complaining about the show as much as we were.
Well, that's what I was.
I haven't
digging
listened enough,
Yeah,
really. You know what I mean?
It probably varies. But
all I know is really just the way the shows work.
yeah, I think
Right.
it ends up being an offshoot, a side effect also of us having that as our direct mission statement kind of a
Right.
thing. Like, whereas those shows are like, yeah, we've read it and we're going to talk about the differences and whatnot. Our thing is like, I don't know. Maybe we're douchebags. I don't know.
Hey, we're from New York, so if you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
Whoa, that sounds very New York of you, my friend.
It does.
It does. That's what it says on the sign when you drive out of our state.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, what does it say when you're leaving? It says, "Forget about it."
No, I don't want it. I want
That's
to change
Brooklyn,
it.
just
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
Just Brooklyn. That's actually, they changed, they made that sign.
You mean there's more to New York City than Brooklyn?
It's true. There are
Wow.
5 boroughs. It's not just Queens, Bronx, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. We're here too,
Right.
sadly.
Until you mentioned names, I was going to jump in and say, "All right, but now we got to do a giveaway. Find somebody who knows all 5."
right. As if that's not a quick Google search, but I get you, though. That's funny, though.
All right.
If you
so,
can name them all, Mr. Midwest. All right, so the last thing to say before we get into it really is, well, we did it. We covered it. That spoilers.
if you
spoilers for
haven't read
book.
the whole book,
Yeah.
Yeah,
try and go and do that,
Yeah.
and then come back to us.
Yeah.
And if you hear the bell, that means that we just discussed something that actually
Yeah.
takes place in both.
and you know what's a fair thing to wrap up what we were saying before about those shows versus this show. I mean, I can't speak for them all because I haven't really listened to them like you said in
Right.
deep, but for us it's book first then show.
Mm.
And for them, I think it's either both kind of like evened out, or it's like
Right.
it's like show first then book.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
if you listen to a half of one of our episodes, you would know that we would always say book first.
Mm.
Well,
But,
this is because
yeah.
the book is the Bible.
right.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much.
All right.
All right, so, wanna get right into
it? Yeah. Oh, last thing to go over is the bell. New to us this season is whenever something is
On the show, actually,
Straight from the
syncs up
book.
with the book.
something new comes into the show from the book, or some kind of like little Easter eggy kind of thing, maybe.
Right.
We'll
You'll
do
hear,
that.
You'll hear a little,
Yeah.
bell ring.
Yeah. And there
So-
may or may not be a noise.
Not a whole lot of bell
For-
ringing's been going on so far.
There may or may not be a noise for every time something's not from the show, and it's not that great.
Wow.
Oh,
I don't know about
okay.
that.
Yeah, right. Because we'd be ringing it all the time.
Yeah.
What if it was something real annoying, like
We would just have to be talking over it all the time, I think.
just going like this?
So-
Right. It would just end up being the background music of the whole episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
Funny. Okay, so let's get into it this week. Episode, what was it? 6?
Episode
yeah,
6.
right?
6, actually.
6 sucks. 6 sucks.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Hold on, I got thrown off there. Yeah, so Dom, what's the name of the episode? You want to give that a shot?
I think it's Sokosha. Sokosha?
Yeah,
Sokosha?
we'll go
Did they
with
say
that.
it? What is that?
So Sokosha is actually the type of truck that armored truck is.
Ah, okay.
Turns out, it's all there's other meanings, like it delves further, but what seems to be the direct tie-in and reason they picked it is because that's the type of truck that is.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so we start off with the cold open with the truck with a couple that seems to be in dire straits.
Yeah.
They're meeting with sketchy Japanese corporation, a representative from the
Yeah.
corporation.
Mm-hmm.
We find out later on in the episode that the corporation's name translates into Soul Happy Go Go.
So happy go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the couple's in dire straits.
Right.
Focuses more on the husband. He's kind
Yeah.
of got some health thing going on.
Right.
So they do the businessman does a procedure
Yeah.
on the husband,
Right.
similar to having blood drawn.
Yeah, he drained some shit out of his leg.
Right. And at that time, we really don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, they play it. They play this whole scene blank, this whole open.
Right, yeah, just letting you watch, see what goes on.
I was almost like, am I watching a different show? Like,
Yeah, what is it?
did my DVR not fucking tape the right episode? Like,
It's
what's
this
going
guy
on
from
right now?
Heroes. I know this guy from Heroes.
Right.
That was his best friend on Heroes.
was.
Did I lose track here?
I was. Oh, you know what? I was thinking of where I knew that.
Yeah.
guy
It took me a while to.
From. Fuck.
I was like, I know this dude though, but like I really know this. I watched a lot. I spent a lot of time with this guy. It's just been a while, and it
Right.
finally came to me.
So before the businessman leaves the room,
Mm-hmm.
the husband is all passed out on the couch
Yeah,
after
yeah.
having the procedure done. And the man from the corporation cuts his wife a check for $150K.
Right.
A lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for just a little bit of results.
Right. So then he brings that vial of
Right.
whatever he drained from the dude in the apartment to a nice big bougie old house where an elderly woman seems to have Alzheimer's, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something.
Some kind of mental illness.
Old timers. Just
right.
old timers in general.
So after our guy from Heroes injects her with the vial, she's seemingly
Well,
back to normal.
She just takes a pill. He
Oh, right.
he makes a consumable. That's what he
Right.
calls it.
Right.
Did a little
Consumable.
Flintstones of
Yeah,
vitamin
chewable.
magic to
nice. Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Chewable.
And lo
Right.
and behold,
She's
better.
better. She's better. I thought she was gonna get you like young,
Which
because you don't know which way it's gonna go. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah, I
like,
was expecting that.
and with
too.
this show,
That's
it's
the
like
obvious
it could
thing,
go
I guess.
anywhere because already this is not in the book. So.
right. Was it just me or just to sidetrack us a little
Yeah.
bit? Was it just me or when they because the show does a quick thing where we don't get introduced to the old woman like right up front. The
Right.
camera just shows her
Yeah.
doing her thing.
Okay.
Before they actually show that the Japanese businessman is in the house.
Mm.
So I quickly thought in this big old mansion with this old white lady,
Yeah.
was it grandma?
Oh,
Maybe.
so you were like, no, too soon.
Right. I was hoping, but it didn't happen. So her son, I'm going to assume that is,
Yeah.
cuts the businessman a check for
2.7.
2.7 million.
2.7. That's some uptick.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 and like 1,500%.
I don't do numbers. I'll say yes,
Yeah.
but that's a big.
Something like that. It's a big markup.
Sure.
So then we cut back to the guy from the corporation.
Right.
He's reading a book. And then
Right.
the camera pans a little bit more towards the left.
Yeah.
And we see that it's actually Braille inside the
Right.
book, and that the guy's blind, I guess.
Really? I must have missed that. I must have looked away for a second.
Yeah.
I don't even. I think I might have seen him reading the book. I'm bad. I'm a bad boy.
All right.
Okay.
That's at least how I took it. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, email us. Let us know.
Yeah.
I only watched the episode this week one time, so I didn't get a second watch on it.
Yeah, neither did I.
But so then right from there, we cut to the intro.
Sure.
So the stuff with the selling of the souls,
Yeah.
it's obviously not in the comic,
Right.
but I just wanted to point this out that
Yeah.
it's an interesting additive to the wackiness of the mythology of the
Yeah.
book and the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's one of those, like, on this show, if you listen to us regularly, you know that we have a problem with changes a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is one of those changes that we had a problem with because it doesn't really mean too much to the end game of the story.
Well.
It means a lot.
Does
to
it?
me.
Because-
it's huge.
Because it comes
It's
up again
monstrous.
later.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
At the
when you
end.
think about the overall implications of what Jesse says later on when he's looking for a soul, that and I got it queued up.
Oh, yes.
So we can listen back because he talks about stuff that involves his family, and also it implies that there's a whole underbelly black market of soul
Right.
stealing
Right.
or soul selling, or that this is a
I-
thing you can do in this world.
I just
get-
thought that was cool, though. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think that.
and I kind of do too. It just comes out of left field, and it's a bigger. I think it's a bigger thing, and it implies a lot, especially when Jesse says, "Oh, the whole
Angel.
market, the whole market's suffering." And he's like, what about Angelville? And the guy's like, "Oh, it's hanging on by a thread." And he's like, "Oh." So at some level, they have a.
But doesn't that make
Yeah.
sense, though?
But
I
then-
mean, they're so wicked, those people.
It does.
In the
It
comic.
does. It does, but it waters them down too because it makes them just regular, normal voodoo people instead of a woman who actually has a deal with God.
I mean, she makes a deal with him, but
I feel like it explains away the deal with God.
well
easier.
No, I always got that in the book that it was implied that the reason that she's as old as she fucking is and still is around is because she's got
Right,
this
that does that-
long-standing deal with God. Because she's
I
like
think no.
she's like 150 fucking years old.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that there was something else revealed. There was a little bit more when you find out, like Jesse was being kind of bred to join. There was
Become
a
a
whole.
preacher?
There was some kind of thing she was getting out of turning people over to the priesthood or something like that.
I don't know.
remember the whole mechanic of it really. There is something there. I think there is a nugget there where Bob is saying a little bit.
Yeah, so I
Yell at us
actually
in the
thought the
emails.
opposite. I actually thought the opposite,
Excuse me,
Bob, when I
sorry.
was reading the book, that she, like, I always thought it was kind of a plot hole that Garth Ennis had, that he never really explained why she was as old as she was. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like she made the deal with God in the moment because God came to her and was like, your grandson has something that I want.
Right.
So I'm going to make a deal
the
with you.
specific deal
But
in
like,
that
happened.
present.
That
Yeah.
happened in a short amount of time, so she's that old. How the fuck did she
but
get there? You know what I mean?
I always felt it was implied that she's been doing these dealings with God for a long time.
Yeah, I
Like
guess
she
so.
had
Yeah.
some other standing.
Yeah,
with
You
him.
know,
Yeah, I guess so.
And-
and it kind of mixed with all the black magic feeling of being in Louisiana in the
Yeah.
swamp and everything.
They just kind of didn't get deep on it.
Right.
And
For me, the only thing missing right now is Barney the dinosaur running around this show shitting out fucking giant gold bricks.
Okay.
ooh, I almost choked on my cigarette.
Because
Well, you know, look,
I mean,
it's
they're so far away from the source material that if they decided that Jesse was going to change his name in the middle of the whole fucking thing, I'd probably feel better.
it just starts shifting it to being something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, Tulip is a whole nother person.
Right.
The only one who's close at all to being anything like they are in the book is Cassidy.
Well, Cassidy and Saint the Killers, I feel like now.
Because they changed his whole backstory.
I mean, not
So-
to a hard degree. I think the stuff that matters the most to him so far. I mean, the hell stuff that happens with him could still be
now
there.
he's got no soul. You're talking about a guy who has no. It changes too much. They've changed too much.
They did. They definitely changed that aspect of it.
I mean, his whole backstory about being so mean and so angry that the devil gives up.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just don't know what's going on in
Yeah.
hell right now. I think that's a thing too. I think they're doing reveals.
We know
on
what's
stuff.
going on in hell. That's why we haven't seen it in the last couple of weeks. Right now, what's his name? Arseface is sitting there playing poker and cards with.
With
Hitler.
them. Yeah, with them. Well, we don't know what went down with hell, with anything related to him, really. Like
Right.
that all still could have happened. This whole thing of them being captive in cells could have been something that, like, because of him killing the devil, like, it
That's
turned
what I
into
was-
this system. Maybe like when you find out like who's running hell down there, it's not Satan. It's not like the devil. It's not like Satan's really running it. Some other jerk is running it because devil got shot.
Okay,
And
that's-
is
all right, so that's still,
so it's like
that's-
post.
that's-
It's a
that's still
post cold
possible.
time. It's post
Right.
the hell freezing
Still,
over
though,
element.
this whole idea of him having to drink a piece of somebody else's soul.
Let's one thing
Yeah.
at let's
let's-
one thing at a time because that's
They've
because
still
it's gonna
done
come up.
way too much shit and changed too much shit in this show.
Yeah. Because I had a whole thing I was trying to get to too.
Okay,
and I
I'm
lost-
sorry.
No, it's all right. I don't know, it'll come back to me. Because
All
I know it comes up again when we get by the time we get to it again in the timeline.
All right. So after we come back from the intro,
Yeah.
we go back to Dennis's apartment,
Okay.
where the crew is all sitting there.
You're eating rainbow pancakes.
Right? They're eating. I mean, Tulip just likes sweet stuff.
I guess it's just
right?
like,
I mean,
yeah. This
she
was the only
only-
thing that didn't have like something completely
Yeah.
insane.
Right.
I mean, it's M&M's is chocolate chips basically. It's a candy shell.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to point out this one goes back to her choice of blueberry. I think.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
peanut butter
It's
pot
like-
roast.
Yeah, because the peanut butter pot roast I think is shows that no adults. She's had no adults in her life that like have actually given her a decent.
I never thought of it like that.
Because she's growing up with a bunch of drunks.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
That is
right.
true, Bob.
So
That's a good
her
observation.
whole thing of like what is food is like
Right.
totally skewed.
That's funny.
It's
funny.
It's all breakfast stuff, and it's all the super sweet kitty breakfast stuff.
It is all something that like
And
a
then
little
she doesn't
kid
know how
would
to
make.
cook normal stuff.
Like
so this
peanut
is what
butter
she-
pot
this is what
roast.
she ends up getting.
Right. Like peanut butter pot roast is something like a little kid would be
you know?
like.
She's so cross wired.
Yeah, right. That's actually pretty funny.
Makes sense. So while they're all sitting there eating their rainbow pancakes,
Yes.
they're having a discussion about the men in white,
Right.
who we know as the Grail.
True.
But they don't know that yet.
Yeah, right.
All the while, your friendly neighborhood saint of killers is making his way to Dennis's,
Right.
being accompanied by Victor's daughter.
Quieter if you just got up. Fair enough. All right, which one is that? That's 3. Bob's been paying attention more than I have.
It's been 2 years.
I know. Continue.
Should I just start that whole thing?
No, I was leaving it. Come
All right. So Victor's daughter
Mm-hmm.
points out a door in the apartment building to the saint.
on. Right.
It ends up not being the right one.
Right.
Let me just point
Oops.
out that Victor's daughter is like a crazy level boss. Like literally just
She's a little too calm and collected.
like just too sick. Like
Yeah.
just too calculated and like too.
It was funny too. Like when she
knows what's
spoke,
going
her
on.
voice didn't sound like a little kid voice. It sounded like a 16-year-old. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just
She
something.
probably is
She
in real
barely
life.
spoke, but it was the weirdest thing that I caught. Like, I was like,
Well, she comes off as more of a spoiled 16-year-old girl
Right,
than
right.
a spoiled 12-year-old girl,
Right,
or
right,
10-year-old girl.
yeah. But I do wonder if she was cool enough to give the wrong apartment on purpose,
I think that was the point.
or if it was just like, I don't know what door, so let me point to a door and hopefully I can run away. But either way,
Could have
That's,
been
that's
either.
what I think it was, because
yeah,
you just stand there for a second. She's kind of.
yeah. She doesn't know which one. She doesn't
She just
recall.
goes, that one.
Yeah,
Figure if she keeps him occupied long enough, she can run down the stairs and get out. Because at the bottom of the stairs, she looks back,
yeah.
and then she takes off.
Right. She does turn the corner and look as she's looking.
So then on the other side of the door that she points out,
Mm-hmm.
there's an African American Jewish guy
Right,
just chilling,
just chilling.
which I thought was
Covered in
just-
tattoos and piercings, by the way.
Yeah, the whole.
Which are totally not acceptable for Jews.
Right. It's that whole gag.
Right, which I thought was just such a great touch
Right.
because like
No, and
Like
that's a Seth Rogen standard.
that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
so Seth Rogen, you know.
Yeah, it's that, and it's in the wheelhouse of this of having some kind of commentary about religion on any level all
Right.
the time.
So when the saint kills him in the apartment
Right.
because he can't give him any info about,
Yeah. He
about
doesn't
the preacher.
know. Right.
The gunshot is so powerful that it ends up going through the walls and into Dennis's refrigerator, incidentally ruining a cup of yogurt.
Yeah. Well, you know,
So
someone
it was
does not
cooking
like
it.
someone on the staff does not like yogurt.
right. So
It was
when,
actually cooking that thing of yogurt.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was like sizzling.
right. So when Jesse hears the noise, it's kind of weird how he's the only one at the table that hears it.
Yeah, I
But-
think he's the only one that pays any mind to it. Really, I noticed that too. I'm like, oh, Tulip didn't even flinch at that at least a little bit.
Right.
Like I would have had her give like a little.
If she was a
tick.
professional, she would have. She should have known it was what it was.
Yeah, but I think that seemed a little like a thing they might have even had a conversation about on set, where it's like, oh, shouldn't I kind of head tick too? And Jesse's just the one who gets up, and for whatever reason they were like, no, just be involved in whatever you're talking about. Like you don't even hear it, I guess.
Yeah. It adds more drama.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, a little more suspense to it, I guess.
Right. So when Jesse hears the noise, he gets up, goes to check it out. When he finds the bullet in the yogurt,
Yeah.
he recognizes it right away.
Sure,
And then the camera shifts
it's
back.
got some marking on it.
Right.
Right.
Shifts right back to the saint, trying to find Dennis's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time he does,
Meeny, miny, mo.
right. By the time he does, Jesse, Tulip, and Cass are already gone.
They Gonskis.
Convenient.
Yeah. And then they go to the library.
They do.
That's where they went. They were like, we got to read up.
Right. So they're at the local library reading up as much as they can on the saint, because in this world, much like the world of the comic, the show version of the saint is a historical figure that most people just wrote off at this point as a myth.
If I remember correctly, in the beginning of the Saint Killer's book, that collection of stories, it's like this folk tale that an old gangster tells, like this young street punk.
That's exactly what it is.
So at that level, I remember correctly, like literally, like I think it's just like amongst criminals, it's folklore. But even if that's the case, like to kind of make it a thing where it's like a larger than life story, it's like a Billy the Kid, it's like this other Wild West kind of story that's kind of like a lot of different versions of something because it's more myth, it's more buried in myth now than like Billy the Kid. You can go find the facts on it.
Right.
And like this has got some facts too, but there's a lot of conjecture over the years, which is cool. I thought it was a nice touch, and it's a beautiful sequence.
And we got the first hint of that.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
We get
We
some
got
bells.
the first hint of that though last season.
Yeah.
With the bottle of whiskey.
Right.
In Jesse's house.
Right.
The rat water
Yeah.
whiskey. But that's besides the point.
Right.
So all in this scene,
Yeah.
we get this little montage
We get to see some Glenn Fabry art. We see some Steve Dillon stuff. We see
Right.
stuff straight out of the comics.
Right.
Yep.
We see I can't remember the name of the artist that drew the Santa Killers miniseries, but we see some quick shots of the panels from that.
Right.
They use Glenn Fabry's
Covers.
artwork like on other books.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yeah, I saw that. One was a novel or a novel-like book.
Yeah, and then also too, you got him on like a Harlequin romance cover,
Right.
like one of these like Fabio style.
Yeah. No, but it was that whole scene to me was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, it was the best thing the series has done so far as a whole.
Right.
I think it was just.
Yeah, but why are we getting homages to the book instead of the book?
Well, either way,
that's you know what I mean.
yeah, I feel like this is one of the things that like worked for me because it's like, you know,
It was cool. It was nice to see something that was from the book.
yeah.
But why aren't we getting the book?
I mean, like you can sit there and say that, but you could sit there and say that every minute about every single thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like
Yeah.
with this, it's like this is the way they chose to kind of like give us visuals from the comic on the show. Like they could have just handled this with a conversation between a guy who worked at the library and them, like, you know. But they kind of were like, well, this is finally an opportunity to kind of like segue some, like, you know, some of the artwork from the book and, you know, give the guys who love the book, you know, like, here's a moment. And we were talking about it in a previous episode here that sooner or later Jesse was supposed to get a download of information from somebody about what's the real deal with Santa Killers, because they were still in the dark about his story. Like we knew as viewers,
Right.
or you know, and readers too, but like the viewers knew like what Santa Killers' full story really was. They didn't yet. And in the comics, he plays catch up too. But in the comic, he gets it, you know, different ways. So as far as that goes, yeah, that's a shift away. But this is the slow step of moving the story away from the comic. Is like, you know, the way that they get that breakdown. Like you can't do that now because of other choices that were made. Now certain characters aren't in play. You know, Jesse doesn't really directly talk to fucking heaven. Like I think in the like he pulls down an angel basically, right? Because he knows he's listening at one point.
No, what happens is he gets a hold of Genesis' father when he's at Masada. Jesse.
Wow, that far out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really when Jesse ends up because that
I wish I still had that book later out.
I think that might end up being in the same book, same trade paperback as the Voodoo storyline.
Okay,
where
so
we
then-
find out all the shit about
Then
Genesis.
it's the Voodoo storyline because in that I flipped through, and in that he's on acid and doing a voodoo ritual because that's just how you do when you're in Louisiana.
Of course.
But you know, during that whole sequence, that's when I think he talks to Genesis in a sense, right? If I remember correctly. And
Yeah, Genesis-
as John Wayne, it starts telling him stuff
Right.
about Santa Killers.
Yeah.
And I think that's falls in the timeline kind of roughly around here.
Right. Hey,
But
if we're wrong,
so be it.
let
But
us know.
it is, you know, it is their way of like, you know, certain things like that are in the book straightforward, like have to end up
Yeah.
being earned here, kind of.
And I think just to go back to what Bow's been saying, I think at this point, like we all have to basically sit back and realize that they're not doing the book really, and
Yeah.
obviously, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know we said that at the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
but you know,
There are times where we have to remind ourselves a little bit, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
right?
It's just hard to get away from it.
Yeah,
Well, it is, because it's like, it's really like in your face, like in a way, you know.
yeah. So then we get Cassidy,
Mm-hmm.
who in the moment realizes that they forgot to bring Dennis.
Denny.
with them on the trip to the library.
Right.
So when they get back to the apartment, the Saint of Killers basically has Dennis hostage,
Right.
and Jesse makes a deal with the Saint,
Mm-hmm.
similar to that of the comic, basically, where if he kills him, the deal's off.
Right.
Referring to the deal that the Saint made with Fior and the Blanc.
Right.
This kind of catches the Saint by surprise. The way I took it anyway was that the Saint was kind of thrown off by this because like he didn't know that Jesse was in touch with Fior,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like, wow, how the fuck does he know
Mm-hmm.
about the deal that I made?
Yeah.
You know, So then he gives the saint the download, basically, that God is not in heaven anymore. And the saint then says to prove it. So Jesse still has the audition tape from the actor Mark for some reason.
Yeah.
So he shows it to the saint.
Well, remember now they conveniently mentioned earlier in the episode to remind you of the tape of Cassidy saying, well, you know, you got to zoom in on the gun. You got to zoom in on the gun and get the serial number.
Right.
So that's them putting it in the back of your head that it's still in play.
Right. So then Jesse says that he can offer the saint something better. The power he said that he has the power to send them to heaven. The saint's kind of a little in the middle. He
doesn't believe him.
Yeah, he's a little wary.
Right. So then the saint then gives Jesse 1 hour to go out and find a soul that he could put in to the saint.
Yeah.
So that he can.
Which we're all like, what?
Now, I do want to stop here for a second, and because I took this as that it wasn't really said, but it was mutually agreed upon between the two of them that he was going to kill him anyways, right? That Jesse, once he got the saint a soul, he was going to kill, like he had to kill the saint to get him to heaven. Much like the Grail probably did with.
Well, that's a good question. Like I didn't even think of that at all. Like, you know, well, just because he's got a soul, how is he supposed to transcend? Like who's gonna be the, like he's got, you know.
Well, that's not true actually, because he sent Eugene to hell without doing that.
Yeah.
He just used the word.
Right. He could just say go to heaven.
He just used the word.
Yeah, he could just say go to heaven, I guess, and as long as, you know, technicalities exist there too, I guess.
So then Jesse goes out by himself into a voodoo store because they have those down there, I guess.
Right.
And asks to buy a soul.
Let's play a clip of that because
right.
that's a thing I really wanted to kind of get to. So it's a moment or two. Nope. I think they're going to fuck me with ads. I bet you they are.
Afternoon, Father. Pick up for the Monsignor. Rub in twice a day on the affected area. You'll be fine.
I don't know the Monsignor. I need a soul to buy from you right now.
No idea what you're talking about.
No? You have a set of pool needles right there. Somewhere else in here, you got an uprooter, a pump, a scale, and a spinner. Papa Bever's been selling souls for over 150 years. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Jesse Longell.
And then the guy's like, oh shit, closes the door.
I'm gonna need a match for this. Something exotic, probably.
Shows him the bullet.
I don't have much time, so I need to see the inventory.
Brother, I don't have any inventory.
What are you talking about?
I was pushed out, haven't sold a soul in almost 10 years.
Pushed out by who?
The mother-loving Japanese.
The...
These land of the rising sons of bitches went high-tech, high-volume, fractional.
Fractions of souls?
Making a killing, too. Brainy little bastards came up with all sorts of applications for it. Pretty much calling it the market.
What about Norminas?
Pushed them out, too.
Scratchies?
Miss Julie's, Black Lake Emporio, Little John's Voodoo, Mother Cuberdays. They buried us all.
Angelville.
Hanging on by a thread.
There has to be some other way. There has to be.
All right. And the reason I play that, what would you? I saw you had something ticking in there.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until just now because, like I said earlier, I didn't watch the episode twice.
Right.
But Jesse would never say that his last name wasn't Custer.
Right.
No matter what the circumstances would be.
Right.
Like, even in this moment where, like, he has to get this guy to convince him
that
he's in on this whole thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, the Jesse we know.
He would never want to be associated with that last name.
Right. Well, I think also, too, in the books, because here it's got to wait, though. Here it means something. All the stuff that he starts rattling off about, you know, other voodoo guys. He knows voodoo guys now in this world.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, basically they do. And, you know, I mean, I'm not sure if it continues on right there with it, but, you know, this whole thing.
Speak of the devils and live here. Time for their boudin sausages. 5:15 like clockwork.
Oh, this is when they seize the truck with that he needs to track down. But basically, the implication is that there's a soul market, basically, and the Angelville, where he's from, more or less, is hanging on by a thread, you know. And I think what we're really kind of getting set up for is a Cajun, carny, soul thing going on.
Yeah, well,
And before the show, we were talking a little bit about the fact that, like, you know, or maybe even on the show, I'm not sure, I'm losing track a little bit, but just that, like, you know, Grandma, TC, and Jody, like, you know, and I got into a conversation, too, with some people on Twitter, especially specifically David Blass, who's one of the head practical designers. I can't remember, visual effects, or, no, like sets and props and stuff like that. Oh, he's going to kick my ass, because he's a heavy metal dude. He'll do it. He'll probably like jackboot me right in the fucking forehead.
I like it.
But anyway, point being that the exchange we had kind of like, you know, goes like, you know, well, you know, it's a thing where it's like, you know, they don't really explain, like, you know, exactly how they get by. You know what I mean? And
Right.
Bob was making a point even during that other conversation about how, you know, there is a little bit of some implications of some voodoo stuff that it being in the bayou and things like that. So, like, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it. Also, Sean Phillips, I believe his name is, kind of artist who did the poster that Jesse saw in a previous episode. They have it darkened up and tweaked out. You can't really make it out as well as you can when you see this photo that he's got on his Twitter account.
Right.
And you can really see that it's like, it's a guy who's got, like, you know, two pierced ears, like, you know, and he's kind of coming like this. And it's a sick art piece. It's a great piece. Like, I kind of want it. Like, I totally want a print of it.
Right.
But, like, you know, it implies that we might be getting some kind of Cajun carny freak show.
Right.
And
Yeah, no, I was going to...
I'm all for it, but I feel like it's a slippery slope. It's a little tropey. It's a little bit like we've been there, done that, you know, on shows, and it can be hokey.
Yeah.
I don't mind it too much. I just don't. I just fear watching Jesse kind of walk in and, like, here's this crazy guy in a chamber over here. Here's this one over here. Like, you know, if it's a rundown thing and it ain't working as much anymore, and they're like, then okay. Like, maybe there's a couple of people still around the building. But
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, once we saw that carnival poster
yeah,
in whatever episode of the season it was, I knew then and there that they're going to flip turn the whole backstory of Jesse's family.
right.
And even, it's kind of silly of us thinking back to it now from last season when we got the flashbacks
Yeah.
of Jesse and his dad alone together with no mom
Right.
in Anvil
Right.
when he's a kid.
Yeah.
That doesn't really link up with the comic because at that point they're not really living in Anvil, right?
Yeah. I'm
Or-
getting the feeling like
Because they go and live with his mom and dad at Angelville, the
Right.
three of them, and
Right.
then that's when TC
right
and Jody
because
kill
they
him.
get snatched up.
Right.
His parents get snatched up at a certain point and brought back to Angelville.
Yeah.
Because dad meets mom in the airport, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Love at first sight. And then their family catches up
Not
with them,
really.
brings them home. Well, not really. That's true. Well, eventual. Before the night was over.
Right.
But
I think she was kind of a bit of a protester, his mom, and he
Right.
was the military coming
right,
back home.
Right.
She
The
kinda-
baby killer, I think she
Yeah.
calls him, you know, that whole
Right.
that whole
She
thing.
kind of spit on him too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then that's it.
That's it. And then eventually they saw eye to eye and hip to hip. But you know, it's a whole thing where I lost track of where I was going with it. Fuck it. Let's just keep it moving. Where are we going to next?
All right. So
But
right
the point,
after.
go ahead. I don't know. I almost had something, but then it left again.
All right.
Never mind.
So right after that clip that we just played, the truck from the opening,
Right.
the Soul Happy Go Go truck,
Yeah.
is conveniently sitting directly across the street from one of the stores that they've put out of the Soul business.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you would.
Yeah.
Maybe you wouldn't want to be there. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. You know,
who knows?
It's a bad area. It's a bad place to be.
but conveniently for Jesse,
Yeah.
he strolls up to the armored truck.
Yeah.
And the salesman from earlier in the episode is there reading I think he's reading a book. I don't recall. But either way, he's listening to an avocado toast podcast.
Is that what they were literally talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was about avocado toast.
Avocado toast is great for morning breakfast. The
Right.
next,
So
Gotcha.
he can't hear Jesse banging
Yeah,
on the door,
yeah.
and he
Well, I
even-
think the thing too is I think you couldn't hear anybody on the other side of the door anyway.
No, but to make sure he's got his buds in,
Yeah.
so that
Okay.
Jesse can't hear. It makes Jesse
I didn't even
can't get the word
catch
through the
it.
door.
I guess I didn't catch it. I
Oh,
thought it was
he's
just
got his buds in.
Gotcha.
So Genesis can't even get him to open the
Right.
doors to the
Right.
truck. So then Jesse goes into a hardware store to buy some materials.
Right.
To
Well, he
make
calls Tulip,
Yeah.
and she's like, "I'll tell you how to make a bomb right now, Jesse." And meanwhile, it's like,
It's like, he's just want. Hi, honey, how you doing? How do you get in the back? How do you blow up the back of a
right.
truck?
Yeah, he did say that first. And she's like, "Well, let me tell you." And she asks like a couple questions or whatever. It's like calling your best friend who's a mechanic.
Right.
It was almost, but now I'm thinking about it, it's like one of those things where like, I'm surprised Jesse didn't already know how to kind of whip that up. I mean, she's probably like the one who was like, well, okay, now I'll tell you how to make it like an IED, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Right.
Was that it? IED? Improvised explosive?
IED.
IED. There you go.
Isn't that what you said?
I thought so. I don't
I
know.
thought that's what you said.
I don't even know.
it's
Improvised
kinda
explosive, explosive device.
Yes.
That's
So
With the phone.
right. So when that fails,
Right, because it goes off and does nothing.
does nothing, but it does attract the attention of the police. So then Jesse can easily use the word on them to get the guy in the truck to
Pulled
open the
over.
doors.
Right, pulled over and all that good stuff.
So then we revisit Tulip and Cassidy.
Yes.
Tulip wonders why Cassidy is so attached to Dennis and asks if Dennis is Cassidy's father. We then find out that
Oh,
Dennis
no.
is actually
That's me, son.
Cassidy's son.
Right. Which, it's like a left turn. It's not in the book, but like, in the books, he does kind of mention like having kids and stuff. So it's like, all right, we could play with that a little bit. And it's all to reinforce the whole idea too of him being douchey. You can kind of like play it both ways right now, because if you look back at stuff Dennis said when it's translated, it's all kind of like stuff like, a kid would say. Like one of the things he says, it's not my name's not Dennis, it's Denny now. Like that's a thing kids like, I'm not Kyle, I'm Kai now. Or I'm not Ben, I'm Kylo.
Right. Well, that's
I'm
funny.
cool now.
It's funny because I don't know if you got the translation, but I meant to do it. I forgot.
I didn't
but
pull up this week.
There was one this week, and it was
Yeah.
fairly long compared to the
Yeah, it
ones
was a
that we
little
got
long, but
in
it was
the
a
past.
lot of similar kind of like him barking at him, being like, you're a fuck up and shit like that. You always ruin shit, and it's more and more now too of a. It echoes more now that it's a father-son thing. Like why he's giving him shit. It's like you're my dad. You're a fuck up.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the whole puts a little bit more context too of him tying the shoelaces when he's like, oh. Like, let me tie your shoes for you. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, fuck you, I got it, basically, Dennis. Like, like, I can do it. He's like, no, one bunny ear here, the other bunny ear, like, and he's like, screw you, man.
He's teaching his son how to tie his shoes.
Yeah,
man.
that's all. He's feeling better. He's like,
Yeah.
my baby boy,
His 80-year-old son.
Right. So then Tulip asks the Saint if he'll let Dennis go because he's sick.
Right.
So he doesn't really respond, I don't think. It's kind of just a blank stare from him.
All right.
And then she brings up his daughter because she's read the history books on him.
Right.
Which makes him quite angry. And forces him to get up from his chair and pick her up by the throat. Which really,
everybody's
sets her off.
right.
She's just really kind of blown away by that. I think really what it is she feels how powerful he is in that moment and realizes how strong and powerful he actually is. So it's kind of a thing for her where it's like, wow, he really could have just killed me.
This guy picked me up by my throat differently than the last guy who picked me up by my throat.
Right.
Because it's a thing that I think it's like this might be the third person to do it to her. It's at least the second. The
Jesse,
big guy was that?
I was gonna say, Jesse, you might be able to knock down a door to get to me to have sex with me. He could turn it into dust.
Right. There you go.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't want to picture that. Ooh, it's scary.
Yeah. So then Jesse finally gains access to the armored truck.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay.
But he can't find a soul that matches that of the Saint.
Right.
So
Although, how would you know how to match to the Saint of Killers?
You only had to have. well, it's
That's
very
right.
convenient
That's
writing.
right.
It's all back-filled writing because all you have to have is an object of the person.
Oh, that's right. So he has,
Yeah,
a piece,
yeah.
he has the bullet.
Right. He gives a piece of his hair, and
Right. So
eventually.
then in this, we find out that choosing a soul that doesn't match is like an organ donation.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah,
if
you
it-
gotta have a
If
match.
it doesn't match,
no good, no bueno.
could fuck you up a little bit.
Right.
A
So-
little bit.
Right. So Jesse then offers to test his own soul as a last-ditch effort, I guess,
Yeah.
kind of. So weirdly enough, it's the only one in the whole truck that matches.
There you go. And interesting question about this though is like, does this imply anything?
Sorry, is that from the book?
No.
no,
I was tempted in my head to ring a bell just as the joke of, hey,
Yeah.
you got a match. And I was like, nope. Gotta avoid the joke bell.
Right.
But
No, we'll have to get a horn for that. Now.
yeah, something like that. Well, I got this guy. I got this.
Right.
I got that
There you
little guy.
go.
For me, the only real question I had coming out of this was that the salesman tells Jesse,
Right.
it won't affect you really. Like if you give 1% of your
Right,
soul,
right.
It'll be like it never even left.
Well, two things. Let me backtrack a little bit. So the one thing it did have me wondering, which I saw a couple other people point out online, does this imply anything that Jesse might be somehow connected and or related to the saint? If they have some kind of similarity of soul, or is it just more about some other aspect of their personality type and not so much a super direct correlation?
Well, they kind of explain that because he's basically tells them it's like an organ transplant.
Right.
So that kind of explains it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just a basic match in general, more of a just
Right.
like hey, we could have looked for another 50 people and found somebody else. It's not too specific to you, really. It just happens to stance. And the thing you were just saying, what were you just saying?
Just how giving 1% of your soul doesn't affect you,
Right,
and
right.
how it didn't match up in my head how you could take 1% of a soul and like it'll work for somebody else.
Like that's
You know what I mean?
like I can understand like 5 or 10%.
Like
you know what I mean?
like taking 1% of Jesse's soul
Is
means
just
nothing
enough.
to him,
Yeah.
but it means so much to the saint.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
yeah.
you're giving somebody a sip of Gatorade.
Right. When it's like
Gatorade.
I have so much more thirst.
Yeah.
But I was wondering by the end of the episode when it kind of like comes up again and Jesse does like this very, very end of the episode, he does this hard stare. And it's like you're supposed to kind of think for a second, oh, what does 1% of a soul do to you, losing that? And I was thinking about the bigger context like we were talking before about there might be some other soul stuff coming, like with the family and the history. So what if he already was missing a little bit?
Right.
What if he already lost like 5 or 10% to some shit that happens when he's a kid or growing up or something like that, you know? So this 1%, you know what I mean? What does this mean? What this
Maybe
new
is-
stuff, you know?
Maybe this is how Grandma stays alive.
Well, that's what some people were theorizing too. We got into an exchange, me and a few people.
Well, that's what I was going to say earlier when we were talking about that.
Yeah.
That's why when I said that the whole soul thing
Yeah.
didn't bother me as a change to the
Right,
to the
right.
to the story.
Right.
It kind of explains that.
Yeah, at the very least,
At the
it
very
explains that one thing. And
Right.
if they found some other ways to kind of use it and play with it, all right. But it creates this whole other worldness that Jesse already comes from a place now of like in the beginning of the story, he's already from a place that he knows like spiritualism and magic and shit or really weird wonky shit happens. So it's like in the book it's more like, oh boom, angels are real, like really real, and the devil's real but really real. And it's like he almost
point.
probably would have known that because like, oh, he knows that souls are real.
That's a
Not
good
only
point.
are they real, but like you could steal one, you can drain one out of a person.
Right. And why would he be surprised that there was a vampire on Earth?
Yeah, or
You know?
maybe this explains why he's not too surprised, because that's another thing in the beginning of season 1 too. Is that like sometimes it
true.
felt like, wouldn't you kind of be a little bit more blown away by all this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you know what, man? Like, I'm thinking about it now. Like, it just bothers me that his mother's side of the family with grandma is involved in this, because part of what makes them so odd and weird is that they're so excluded from
Like civilized.
society.
Yeah.
And they're just such weirdos.
They feel tucked away, and like there's only like the 3 of them.
It almost feels like a True Detective type thing,
Yeah.
where it's like it's in Louisiana and
Yeah,
it's
oh,
just
yeah,
so you know,
So far removed from the
so
rest of the world.
Right, exactly. That even like the authorities
Yeah.
would have no idea, like just don't know what they do. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
They would have a hard time even getting it to them.
Right.
Right, exactly, because it's just so big down there with all that, barren land, basically.
I just hope they don't own the police. Like, the show, like, the sheriff here works for us. Don't worry about it. That's how important we are.
Well, that's what I'm kind of trying to say, where it's like, I hope that the scene with the guy in the voodoo shop implies that they're a big deal.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
The family.
Right.
So that could be true.
Yeah.
And that goes against everything I just said
about
them being recluded from society.
I do like now and then when, like, they kind of do things, like, and... Like we've talked about before, like I think sometimes the things that like are missing from the book, that are missing from the show that are in the book, and they're like kind of like mediocre things. I feel like sometimes they're building towards it, or they want it to be earned. Like I feel like the Saint of Killers, like having him not be affected by the word, and Jesse eventually having to have that be a thing that's established on his end because he does something. Like okay. Like, yeah, the word doesn't affect him in the beginning. But by the end, it will. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a thing, like, we wanted to have a play with it. It seemed like everything came a little, maybe too easy to Jesse. So I get where that comes from in the writer's room. Sometimes to make these things happen, though, we create these other things that, like, just cascade into their own issue.
Oh, that's what the changes do. These things escalate, baby.
And that's what they do.
So
I got to put that on the soundboard.
Escalation there.
So when 1% of Jesse's soul is finally made into a chewable Flintstones vitamin,
right?
Jesse,
Yummy.
I guess he uses the word on the police again to drive him back to the apartment.
I think so. Yeah.
They're going real fast.
Right.
When he gets there, he jumps out the back and says, "Get lost."
Oh yeah.
To all of them, and they all flee.
Nice.
Like aggressively.
Yeah.
So he's running late, basically.
Yeah.
And while that's going on, the Saint is back in Dennis's apartment and pulls Tulip aside and takes out his sword.
Right.
So was the sword in the book?
I think it is.
I don't remember it 100%.
I seem to remember it like
We see it on him in his backstory.
Yeah, at the very least during the Civil War era stuff. Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough.
So then from that, Cassidy attempts to...
Bob's trying to shake more book stuff out of the bell. I don't know if it works like that. All right.
Use a hammer on the bell, see what happens.
See what happens. See what we squeeze out of it.
All right. So while that's going on, Cassidy attempts to stop the Saint.
Yeah.
By grabbing onto the sword as he's coming back over his own shoulder with it. And
I instantly thought, "Ow!"
Yeah,
right,
just a little bit.
And
turned his fingers into little sausage links.
Yeah. Right, so he cuts off basically all of his fingers, and this is something that I liked a lot because it's something that the show doesn't do enough.
Right.
Compared to the book, where it's like we're constantly getting reminders that Cassidy has these like regenerative powers.
Yeah. It becomes a bit of a once in a while joke.
And
thing.
it's like one of the running jokes with Cassidy.
Yeah.
And
so that's I give it a bell.
Yeah.
I say give it a bell.
Okay. I think that something similar to that happened in the book where he.
Well, there's a point later on where he gets absolutely fucking beaten the shit down
at Masada.
Where that becomes the running thing with the guy who's like, I can't kill him, he won't die.
Well, I knew that. I mean, that really wasn't what I was referring to, but
I think there might be something on a smaller level, is what you mean, right?
Right.
I believe so.
So then, when Jesse hands his soul to the Saint, he tells him to get on his knees. And in this moment, it's kind of the Saint's like processing it, and he refuses out of pride.
Right.
Says he doesn't kneel for anybody.
Right.
But he's got a soul now, so all Jesse has to do is use the word. So finally, go ring that bell again.
Whoa!
Because
official
he
bells
finally uses the fucking word.
That's right.
And just for the record, we probably could have hit it like once or twice earlier on than we started. Because we were when we first started talking about the Saint Killers, we did not start hitting the bell.
That's true. We could have been hitting it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
There's, I think one or two is fair.
Whoa. Hope that fart's
like,
not on mic.
Like 5. That would make like 5 now.
Yeah, I think yeah.
We'll round up.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody...
just so that we're keeping a fair amount of... Because this is above and beyond. We need to keep track of this.
Right.
We should have been doing this from season 1.
Right. Well, season 1 there was like none.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then Jesse takes all of the Saint's weapons off of him, tells him there's no place for him in heaven.
Right.
Which
No place like home.
which
Right.
I didn't get. Like, wouldn't he want to send him to heaven to kind of find out what was going on? That would have made
No,
sense to
because
me.
as soon as you send him to heaven, he's done.
You're not getting him back. How's he? You can't send him on a recon mission.
Why not?
How you getting him back?
He's no longer the Saint.
By
that
the
killed
show's
us.
logic, he tells Eugene go to hell, so he could very easily tell the Saint go to heaven, find out what's going on, and come back.
How's he getting back?
Yeah.
How'd he get there?
Jesse told him. Well, you'd have to tell him
Well, you know what I'm trying to
go and come back and hope that the do it all in
By
the
the show's
word.
fucking logic,
Well,
fuck you
yeah, I
guys.
guess-
Actually, it's
guess.
easy to get there. You just blow your brains out and then you go to heaven.
Well,
you know
there's
what I'm-
that.
you know the point I'm trying to
I see
make,
what you're
though?
saying. Like if you just give him that command too, like you just have to make
Yeah.
it a long string of commands
But here's the
while
thing, though.
doing the word.
Right.
I got you.
But here's the thing. In this story now,
Yeah.
they've established that the whole reason he wants to get into heaven is to be with his family.
Right. Yes.
So once he's in heaven, why is he going to come back for you?
That's true. That's
true.
a good point.
it's fair enough. And not only that,
But
he's
he
no
would.
longer the,
He
he's
would
no
have
longer
to.
the Saint that Killers at that point. He's got no reason to be the Saint that Killers.
and the true dark irony of this character and the story of Garth, like when he gets there to heaven, like if he ever did, like his family should want nothing to do with him.
Right.
Like they should be like, oh, ew, like repulsed and scared of him, kind of.
No,
a thing.
I
Like,
agree. He probably.
he's the butcher of Gettysburg.
Maybe
after
they can't see him as who he is because he has somebody else's soul.
Well, that's the other thing too, because Jesse, because the preacher, because Saint kind of throws it back at Jesse, and he's like, "Well, you can't send me to hell because now I have a piece of your soul. So what's that going to do?" Which was very much like Jesse was kind of like, "Well, I really don't know, but that doesn't. I don't think I like the sound of it."
No. So
So
instead we get Plan B.
Right.
we got Plan B.
So he takes him for a little trip in the truck, in the Soul Happy Go Truck.
Right. The only thing missing was some Creedence Clearwater Revival playing in the background.
Right. So on the drive, we see a sign for Angelville.
Sure.
Entering. Which in the show they've made it a much bigger place. Like we've established this already. Like
I guess,
Angelville
yeah.
in the
It's a
comic
town,
is
yeah.
kind of
Like-
taken just as in New York City, it would be the whole city, but because it's in Louisiana and there's so few people that live down there.
You don't get the impression
The
that
only
it's a
people that really
sprawling
live there.
town or,
Right.
or
No, but
small
it's
city
not,
in
it's
any way.
not the southern estate in
But
the
you
middle
never-
of the swamp
And you don't get to
that
see anything
that
else.
we know.
And you definitely don't, but very much true.
Right.
And you certainly don't get to see anything outside the property when you're ever seeing anything with that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Aside
mean?
from-
We're getting basically a little carny town that's basically hiding all this mystical stuff. that goes
Yeah,
on
that's
underneath.
where we're headed for sure.
Right. So when he gets down there to the swamp in Angelville, Jesse gets out of the truck
Yeah.
and sends the truck right into the swamp with
Sure.
the Saint locked in the back. And the Saint basically, I guess, dies in that moment.
Well, it's airtight. I don't know. How much air does he need to survive? He's Saint. He's not quite angel, not quite person.
Now he's
It's like
got-
what are the
now
rules?
he's got a soul.
And now he's got a soul. So at the very least, I don't know. Does that mean he can
could
decompose and
suffocate.
die? I got the feeling he's not going to be in there long, though.
No.
It's a temporary fix.
We know
but-
he's coming back.
But given the way that they've told his history now,
Mm-hmm.
he should either suffocate.
Right.
If the water can't get in,
Right.
then he should suffocate to death.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that separates him from being living is having a soul. So now he should technically be alive.
I would think so. But here's the
So
thing,
it's
too.
either he's got to suffocate or he's got to drown.
Right. I mean, if that's but here's the thing, one way or the other, he's coming back.
Of course.
And
Of
we're gonna
course.
get at least a cool shot of him coming up
I'm
out
just
of that
mentioning-
swamp.
I'm
water.
just mentioning this
the
because this
logic
is
of it. Yeah, the logic of it. No,
Because
absolutely.
Well-
this part of the whole problem I have with the show is the way that the writing goes.
Yeah.
It seems like it's very convenient.
Well, that's absolutely what it is.
Forget about it.
Forget about it, because that's what all this episode is.
I
It's
never
a lot
used
of
that term, but
backtracking.
forget about
It's
it.
a little bit of backtracking to kind of like convenience. It's like, oh,
Exactly.
I need a soul, so let's have people sell souls in town. Which one of these came first in the story process?
Right.
Chicken or the egg?
But just to play devil's advocate for a second,
Yeah.
there is another option
Mm-hmm.
that I don't see as likely,
Yeah.
but because he's the Saint, because he only has 1% of a soul, he doesn't die in the swamp. TC and Jody find him, and that's how he gets out.
Could you imagine?
That would be nuts.
That would be kind of crazy. Like, you probably don't even see Jody and TC's faces. You just
Right,
see
you just see
them
these
like
two guys getting them out.
They find the track or something like that from the truck.
Just for a second there, I thought maybe you were going to go on with the whole idea of, because he's got 1% of a soul, he comes back as a zombie.
Like all
The
starting to
zombie
rot.
saint. He just knows that he's got to like go after Jesse.
Zombie Saint. Nice.
That would suck.
That would
No,
be,
but I mean,
that would be too much.
it's a good introduction to those
It's
characters.
a way to kind of bring them in together, even if like you don't see them, but like
That's a way to tie him into the Fear of the Walking
the
Dead.
Walking Dead shows. Now, yeah.
He can do guest spots.
But at the very, it's one of those things where it's like, or is he gonna die, go to hell, and somehow bring ours face back?
That's the most likely option
know?
in my head. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that.
No, that's
out
an
there
interesting.
because it's.
I like that as a twist, as a theory.
I want that to happen.
I want it to happen. It would be cool, Yeah.
Right. So
but-
one last bullet point I have
Yes.
here. Jesse goes back to the apartment.
Yeah.
And he hides all of the Saints' weapons in the bathroom floor.
Yeah.
And
Which is
that's
stupid.
it for this week.
Yeah. Which is like, I don't know why you would do that, even as a I know I wouldn't.
Well, the first place he goes when he comes back to Earth is going to be that apartment.
I'm not gonna put him in my apartment.
Right.
I'll put him in your apartment. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Thinking about it, thinking about it now though, that sets up a long game. Like forever, how
Yeah.
long they set
yeah.
that they're gonna set this up where the Saint is gonna be gone.
Right. For however long that is, he's got to come back to get the guns.
They're gonna still be there though.
Yeah,
is what I'm
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to say.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're not like I know a couple episodes ago when I wasn't here.
I'm on my guns.
Well, that too,
They're
but
gonna, they're gonna be like Thor. He's just gonna be like he's gonna call them. And
well,
you're
That'd
gonna
be
see
funny.
him like go through billboards.
Right,
on the
right,
highway.
right. Building through building, through wall, through wall, through wall.
but Agent Palmer, when he was on the show a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, raised the point that he doesn't want them to spend this whole season in Louisiana
Yeah.
and the whole rest of the season, and
Yeah.
even for him, he didn't want it to be
Yeah.
more like than the mid-season finale. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right, right.
Well, we're not
and-
getting there until like right before the end of the season.
At least, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's the point I'm trying to make, that they're going to be in Louisiana. They're going to be staying at Dennis's for a while because
Well-
you know that when the Saint comes back,
Mhm.
he's going to want his weapons, and he's not going to show up to an empty apartment.
Well,
You know what I
show
mean?
spoiler, because I don't know if I mentioned it already, but it got out, well, because Louisiana puts out these public notices, but
Right.
they've already put in for next
licenses,
season,
for
next
permits for next season. Yeah, I
permits
saw
for
that
next
too.
season.
Right.
So, hey, at the very least, it could still hold that we're just doing the Bayou and Angelville, and it's just it's we're over on that side of the
Yeah.
state. That's all.
I
Which is
never,
fine. You know what I mean?
never
Which is cool.
thought, I never thought it was practical for the show to do as much bouncing around location-wise
Oh, you
as
couldn't.
they do
Yeah.
in the book. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's just not realistic.
No.
But this
But
season, I have no
season
problem.
by season, I could see it.
That's what I mean.
You
That's
know,
what I was going to say. Like,
Episode by episode, it's hard to do. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
this season, I have no problem staying in
Right.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
But outside of that, even stretching it out to next season,
Yeah.
it's a little
yeah.
bit much.
Yeah, it's a little much.
You know,
It's about how long.
this is a story that has a lot of legs. They move a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's
what's
always
funny-
it's a road story, really.
Yeah.
You know,
It is, and that's why we're getting the story that we're getting, which is
Exactly.
an insane road trip, and almost to the point where Hunter S. Thompson, I expect to come to the door once in a while. It's like, guys, here's the next stash. Go ahead.
And you know what? Cassidy and him are probably old friends.
Yeah, really.
If anybody's gonna know him, he'll be like, "Hey, mate,
yeah. He met him.
Alright.
He met him at.
where's your suitcase?"
Cassidy probably gave him his first piece of first tab of acid.
Probably. They used to mix them together. Probably.
They met at McSorley's in the
There you go.
There you go.
in the city. So just a few final thoughts on the
So
episode.
some final thoughts that you've got in your notes here.
Glad to see that Jesse finally uses the word on the Saint.
Yeah.
Positive.
We're really happy about that. That's good stuff.
We know from the Comic-Con trailer that this isn't the last time we're going to see the Saint.
Right.
So
Right.
don't fucking write any hate mail to Seth
We may not
Rogen.
see him until the season finale. You know what I mean?
Really, I mean,
Because it'll be a surprise, reveal. Like, oh, there he is.
he's a
but-
key figure in the story.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you know.
He's a key figure in the story, and
Yeah.
It's a good twist though for viewers of the show that haven't read the book and know nothing about the book, because
right,
it's like,
right,
oh
right.
shit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Jesse
You know?
just knows where to go down here, I guess. It's like,
Right.
no, yeah, he knows where to go.
Right.
But it's one of those like write-offs though that
Yeah.
like even anybody watching that's like, oh, he'll get out of that somehow. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One way or the other. He's just alive in a lake.
It's weak, yeah. It's
Yeah,
weak. But that sets up the prospect of a possible Saint and Arseface team up to
Right.
get out of hell.
Right.
How do you guys feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, for laughs, I could definitely see it having some fun. You know what I mean? As long as all of a sudden it isn't like they're traveling together and it becomes like a thing, then I'm cool. It's fine.
Well,
As long as they don't end up becoming like a
duo.
dynamic duo.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you want your preacher dead? I want your preacher dead.
wouldn't it be?
Let's work together.
Wouldn't it to drive Arseface over the edge and to make him want to kill Jesse?
Right.
Even more.
Mm.
Wouldn't it be crazy if once a Saint gets down to hell,
Tighten it right there at the middle. There you go.
the reason why Arseface goes bananas is
Yeah.
because the Saint just kills all of his buddies in hell.
All of his new friends. I finally made friends in hell, and you killed them.
So, I mean that doesn't really mesh with the comic.
No,
because
not at all. Right.
Yeah.
None of that
vengeance.
does.
The vengeance is focused on Jesse.
Yeah,
not so much
yeah.
the Saint.
No, what I'd like to see is actually I would like to see Arseface run into our friend Kincannon down in hell.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
tells him everything that went on.
You know, that's a good point. One of the,
in his twisted version of everything, which
Fuck.
twists Arseface.
All those motherfuckers should be down there. Even his fucking father.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I was making the head move like, oh,
Yeah.
nobody say it. I
Yeah.
want to say it. His dad. Oh, shit.
Hey,
I'm
that's something that we could
I'm
realistically
surprised.
see.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that guy loved being on the show. Like,
Yeah.
he still gets, he's
Nah,
still
he's good,
tweeting
that
about
guy.
the show.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, actually, they didn't do something with that yet. But maybe they didn't make him evil enough on the show. Or at least head fuck with Arseface about it somehow.
Well, you know what? The reason why they didn't make him as evil on the show is because a lot of his evilness comes out of
Oh, it was pure racism.
racist shit.
Yeah, it
so
was
like they
pure
couldn't really do that on the
yeah,
show.
they were dodging that
You
shit.
know.
Yeah.
But just a couple more things here.
Sure.
This was just a personal thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that they didn't include that scene at the end with Jesse putting the
weapons?
Saints' weapons in the bathroom floor.
Okay.
Solely for the reason that if they left the episode off, I know I said this to you guys earlier, but if they left the episode off with Jesse just walking out of the woods in Angelville alone,
Right. Yeah.
it would be a cool cliffhanger / setup to leave the door open for TC and Jody to
Right,
maybe
right.
that's how they end up
Right,
grabbing him,
right.
and it would be to me the perfect time in the season to set that up.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we're going this way.
Right.
Nope.
Even
hold
if you
on.
just did it to create a conversation and you knew that the next episode would start up with Jesse just walking back in the house,
Right.
I think it would have been a cooler, like, first of all, visual, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like a nice camera crane drone shot or something of him walking up that same road that he came down because it was bayou shit.
Right.
And it was down there and it was beautiful. But also, too, that, like,
That
you
too.
know, but all the innuendo that you're saying that it implies for readers of the book to be like, oh, Jesse's going to walk back in that part of town?
That's all I was thinking in my head.
Right. It didn't
because-
cross my mind at all. But when you brought it up before the show, I was like, oh, that would have been kind of interesting. Like, I wonder if that would have crossed my mind at all, because it didn't cross my mind in the moment. Like, nothing about, like, him being really exposing himself, even though he was. If they had given me, like, a little more tinge of him being uncomfortable, like some looking around while he's driving, like
Yeah.
being a little nervous maybe.
Well,
like,
that just goes to show how much different Angelville as a whole is in the show now compared to the books, because he's so, like, he's almost on Tulip's level in the show, where it's like, I don't want to go to Louisiana. No Louisiana. No
Right.
fucking
Well,
Louisiana.
yeah,
because I'm in the state.
Well,
those
for
motherfuckers
him,
can
it's the
find me.
swamps. You know,
You know what I
for
mean?
him, it's the swamps. It's that whole other edge of the state.
Right.
You know, they're on one
Yeah.
side, and all that other shit's a little bit more at the other the other.
That's probably why
side.
we got this whole BS Tulip story taking place in Louisiana
Yeah,
with Victor.
yeah,
You know, to try and throw everybody off who knows
yeah. It's a little
where
bit of
it's
that.
supposed to go.
It's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of padding for time. It's a little bit of filling up her character background a little bit. You know what I mean? 13 episode season as opposed to 10, so they got to map it out.
But just one more final
Sure.
thought. Don't get too worried about the Saint. I said it to you guys earlier, but
yeah,
in the book, it's a thing where Jesse never really has to deal with the Grail, her star, and
Santa
the
Killers.
Saint all at once.
Right.
They kind of come in waves, and I know the Grail and her star are obviously
One and the same.
one
more
and
or
the
less.
same. You know what I mean? But it's kind of a thing where Garth Ennis
Yeah.
probably did it to help himself in the long run.
Yeah, a little bit, sure.
But he never really has to deal with both of them at once, so I wouldn't expect
not in a
them
major way
to have them both on the show at the same time.
Yeah. Well,
So-
having them being like super direct antagonists, because what's happened right now is that obviously they've taken Santa Killers off the table,
Right.
and we know from previews that Air-Star is going to probably be in the next few episodes at the very least. So that's what you're pointing out there. That
At least until Jesse gets kidnapped and taken to Angelville, or we see Grandma whispering to TC and Jody to go down to the river and pull the thing out of the to pull the truck out of the river,
right?
Because God's given her a sign,
Well, that's the thing,
or
like
something like that.
That's not a
that's
bad.
well,
That's not a
but
bad point.
That's
either.
kind of I mean, that's kind of what I was
That's
saying
what-
earlier, where it's
Yeah.
like in the book, like they had such a grasp over Angelville because it was
Right.
their spot.
Yeah,
where
yeah,
like
yeah.
if that ended up happening there,
Yeah.
there's no way they wouldn't know about it.
Right.
So it
right,
makes
right.
total sense for that hypothetical situation that I set up earlier.
At the
where
very least for
they're
them,
pulling them out of the swamp.
I think in their way for them to come across it though would be like them finding the tracks, and that being like their stomping grounds, and Jesse knowing that particular area
Right.
very well, maybe or something like that.
Because
TC
but
and
but
Jody
Bob's
walk-
got a good point with what he just said too. I
I
thought.
could see TC and Jody walking through the woods.
Yeah.
And TC's like, Jody, look, this is where I got some good pussy one time.
Yeah.
And you find out the pussy is
A cat.
a cat or
Right.
an animal that
You know,
lives
it's
in
a
the woods,
fish.
Right.
a hedgehog or
In their solo story, I think he was trying to fuck a fish,
yeah.
right?
yeah.
And
Well, and that's the thing too. Like in their solo story, they do all this like back dealing shit, like with gangsters in the area,
Right, they
all
get
across
pulled
the
in.
bayou.
you're right. They do have some
So
other dealings.
they're always like doing criminal
Shifty,
shit.
Yeah, shifty stuff. Yeah.
So
My only thing with having a hope for seeing them is just like I don't think, I mean, unless they're keeping it super hush hush, I don't think anybody's been cast.
Right.
But that wouldn't stop them or a show like this from just showing you somebody's boots
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Two people come across the trail that leads it into the.
AMC loves to do it with The Walking Dead.
Loves to do with The Walking Dead, but at the very end of an episode, you'd see maybe two guys' legs from the knees down, find the path, follow it a little bit, realize that something's in the fucking in there.
Right.
You know.
Maybe see a fish drop into the screen and hear someone's zipper go up.
Something like that, something only a real fan would pick up on.
That would be glorious.
Who's
Man.
all these other other people
Wait,
would be
let
like,
me take
who's
care of this.
fucking a
Drop
fish?
the fish.
Yo,
zip
why
up
don't
his
we
pants.
why don't we write this fucking show?
Why don't we
Fuck
write
off,
this fucking
man. Fuck yeah. Fuck you guys.
show?
Calm down, man.
All right.
We should really write that show.
That'd be good stuff.
Maybe we should map out a season done our way.
Oh Jesus Christ! I gotta work on my own stuff. I can't be working on fanfic. All right.
Yeah.
So let's see if we got any kind of questions. I posted up a thing. Hey, who's got questions? So we got a couple here from Joe Kern. Random comic question. We might have addressed some of these. I'm just going to burn through them so these people get their stuff read. Random comic question. With the inclusion of comic books in the show, favorite comic book covers from the series. Also, he shows his, which is that one of Cassidy's Glenn Fabry stuff, which Glenn Fabry covers are your favorites. He shows the one with Cassidy in front of like the stained glass windows kind of thing, but it's all
They did
Grail. But it's all the
Right.
people from the Grail.
Right. And they did that actually before the first season aired. Remember they
All these
tweeted out
homage
a bunch
photos.
of Glenn Fabry-esque
Yeah, photos.
solo shots of Tulip, Cassidy, and Jesse, and that was one of I think that was the Cassidy one.
Jesse's got one in front of a window, for sure. But this particular one that he's showing, I don't know if they really did the pose, maybe. But I don't know about all the Grail guys if they would have given up the kitty on that
Yeah. Right.
that early.
But I think mine might be. It's a mix between, for me, the one where, I mean, it's all the Fabry shit, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. Well, it's the only
because he does
ones.
all the covers,
Yeah.
But it's a mix for me between the one where it's Jesse it's just Jesse's hand. It's so fucking beautiful. Like I'm picturing it in my head.
with
It's
the
just
Zippo.
Jesse's hand with the Zippo.
Yeah.
And you could see his reflection in the fucking Zippo, and
Yeah.
it's so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is. It's unbelievable.
It's got a lot to appreciate in
Yeah.
that. In
And
that picture.
the other one I was thinking of is the one where I think it's the cover for the first issue where we meet Grandma, TC, and Jody, and it's her, TC, and Jody looking all weird, like with machine guns in their
Like
hands.
a family photo,
It's
like a crazy family photo, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's
a
just
rural.
weird,
Yeah.
you know?
I
Yeah.
remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
That is a good one.
Yeah, I actually I just had it. Sorry, move on. Let me just try and.
Well, for
And
me-
I mean, of course, the one we're looking at right here.
Yeah,
too,
the one
you
I
know?
have hanging up here, which is the one where they're all sitting at the poker table,
Mm-hmm.
and then Santa Killers is looking in the background.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. For me, it was the Santa Killers one where he's got the guns.
Yeah, yeah.
They used it in the show.
Sure.
That
I was
one.
gonna say for me, it's like a toss up between that one from the show, and the one that we use for this show a lot, which is the one where it's from Until the End of the World cover,
Right.
where it's Jesse's like head is like in the sky, and then like in the ground with the grass and all that, you can see Jody and TC and Jesse's dad on his knees. They're gonna kill him, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just the whole. The way
Right.
it all gets layered out in that. What are you pulling up a picture there?
I just Googled.
Yeah, you pulled up like every picture.
Every
used
fabric
for
cover?
every fabric cover. Yeah.
Oh, you know what one is great too, man? The one where it's probably the issue where they do you get all of Cassidy's backstory with New York,
Okay.
and it's him flying off the fucking
Oh
Empire
yeah,
State
yeah,
Building.
yeah. That one they definitely did a
Yeah,
promo picture for.
Yeah.
Or a remake.
right.
Another good one.
I'm looking at them now. The one where Kincannon has
The big sausage.
Oh no, not Kincannon. That's not Kincannon. Who's that fucking old character that we meet at the? I feel like it's at the very end of the book. He's mixed up with the Grail. He's like a hitman, and he's got the dogs that
I think-
eventually bite off
I think that's in.
First Star's dick. He's like a hitman of some sort.
I know that there's a guy with the dogs on a cover. I think it might be for Air Star's solo One Man's War collection. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I forget. I think he's just maybe he's like a top guy in the
Sorry,
Grail.
you guys can't see it.
Yeah.
but,
What issue is that? Can you see the issue number?
Ooh, let's see. Where the fuck is it now?
55.
55.
That's the one you're talking about. All right. Well, all right. So let's move on to the next one here.
There's a lot of good ones. That's the thing.
That's the problem. Was
Yeah.
that like his artwork is sick.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
And
like,
I'm
phenomenal.
looking at them all now, man, and it's like, wow, that one. You know, like I could sit
Yeah.
here all day and talk
Yeah.
about it.
So Joe Kern says another question here is: it seems like the Langels are more well known in TV lore than they are in the comic book lore, and we did cover a lot of that. But yeah, that the family's got a name for itself, and on some level, I like the idea that they've had it, and I think they've fallen on hard times. Like maybe like there was a Carney thing, but it's like when Jesse eventually ends up there again, it's not going to be how he remembered it. It's going to be
Right.
like kind of like, oh, you've let it go to shit, and you're the
Yeah.
only like 3 people here. I'm like, well, I don't mind that like so much, like kind of
That would
explaining some things, but not really kind of like forcing the new idea to be a thing we have to deal with. But it's a thing on the periphery that we kind of just filled in the blanks for.
Yeah, and then that
don't
kind of
mind that.
leads. That also, we've been talking basically the whole episode about how devastating it would be if, well, at least to me, anyways, how if Angelville is a big town rather
Right,
than just
right.
like this big wasteland where there's
Yeah.
like Bob said, the estate in the middle of it
Right.
where they live. So maybe that could,
That
that
could hold.
could be the case. So there's hope for that, I guess.
So thanks to Joe on that one. And then Joey Zaza, who we haven't heard from since last season, says, hey, just a thought, why or how did Cassidy keep his tattoos after being burned? I guess they're just going to let that go. That's just an easier thing for them to deal with and just be like, he's just got the tattoos. They just kind of come back or whatever. Because you could even get into the whole, well, if he's got healing power, why the tattoos stick on him at all?
Right.
You could go to that level.
Yeah.
Because I think
Hey, that makes sense though. I mean,
it's just one of these things they gotta. I'll tell you what though, what's funny, a funny side story if I saw from behind the scenes stuff is that like he's gotten new tattoos since season 1, and so now they have to kind of like, for continuity, they actually cover up certain parts of him as opposed to like not covering him at all. Actually, they are covering up a certain amount of his tattoos. We covered this one a little bit too, but Colby Schum from Cool Bree 2E says, Could Jody and TC make it on the show, even though one is violent and the other is, well, one is a little perv.
Yeah,
who knows?
On this show with these producers, they could show up.
Here's
if
the
it was
thing.
another set of producers, no.
Yeah, here's the thing that's amazing sometimes. It's like the restraint or the choice they make to deviate from some things that are like a little bit racy or over the top. Like where I think all the time, like, oh, that's a thing that's in their
Have to
wheelhouse.
skirt over. Or they'll have to do.
They'll just, you figure it's safe that they'll do it probably because it's A, not that too crazy, and B, it's like that's in their wheelhouse. Like, if TC isn't trying to fuck chickens or fish or that's not the running gag with TC,
Right.
then like
That's not
What's
TC.
it going to be? And it's not really
and
him.
it would be like, and why would you shift away from it? It can't be because you guys are like squeamish or nervous about that kind of a running gag. Like, you know
And
what I mean?
it kind of shows they kind of show their true colors with stuff like that.
Yeah.
With the way they handled Kincannon in season 1.
Right.
Like, just if I'm a showrunner on this show, especially with
Right.
how racy this material is,
Yeah.
like, I know they thought that they had to bring Kincannon in this early.
Sure.
But to me, the way you do Kincannon real
Yeah.
to the comic is later on in the run of the show where you can get away with a guy fucking meat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
the whole thing about him and why he's such a memorable character from the
Yeah.
book is the guy fucks meat. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know what I mean?
So,
Well, what's funny too is you used to hear them in the beginning, the producers and stuff say stuff like, well, certain things we want to build to because it's like you can't just kind of start a show and just show the devil right away. You know what I mean? This kind of thing. And I'm like, eventually this guy's making people out of meat.
Why not?
And he's basically fucking meat. I think in at least one scene, like you just don't see it, you kind of hear it.
Oh, yeah,
Something
he's-
weird's
and
going on.
he's
Some
made
meat
this
slapping
mountainous-
sound, I believe. No. They played it kind of like off camera, but
Yeah, he's made his mountainous 5-ton or 10-ton mountainous girlfriend out of meat.
in the comic. But granted, I get it. Certain things would just come off really campy and incredibly silly on TV, but it feels like, it always struck me as a weird thing to say from the producers that like, well, we want to build towards certain things. We, if anything goes in this world and we show you just about anything, like, or do we jump straight to the hardest stuff like they do in the book and show you heaven and hell and all that? And I'm like, why? Like, I mean, like,
why
it's
not? Yeah.
TV. We've million shows. You know what I mean? A million movies. Like, there's no
Really?
in this day and age. There's really no
We've
like.
gone so far as to actually
know.
make fun of God in movies.
You know what I mean? And if you're gonna have Jesse basically say "F God" at a certain point, then whether or not you duck it out in the audio, just go for broke. Just go for broke. If it's more about budget, just say it's a little bit about budget.
yeah, and you know what? You
know
know
what I
what,
mean?
man? And that obviously plays a factor of it too. You
Yeah,
gotta, as a fan of something, you gotta be.
You gotta be realistic.
Realistic
with,
with shit like that,
like
you know?
why they might. Yeah.
But,
'Cause sometimes it's just budget.
But the point I was trying to make was, we know that the original script, at the very least, for
There-
the pilot,
yeah.
was a straight, basically page for page.
At the very least, their pitch
Adaptation.
was. Their original
So
pitch
we
was
know
like,
that-
yeah, they had that in them. That interest to kind of. That's why.
And the network ran with that.
Yeah,
So
that's-
it's not like they were afraid
Yeah,
of it, so why
yeah.
aren't they doing it?
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And I'm not even
Because they're
talking
sitting-
about.
they're sitting there
hold
in
on
the-
one sec. I'm not even talking about like straight page for page shit.
Right.
I'm just talking about like the weird shit that happens in the book. Like,
Right.
if you're not going to do it exactly,
Yeah.
do something on that level.
Right,
Like, we
right,
should have
right.
seen him fucking meat last season. And I'm unapologetic about it.
No,
you know
no.
what I mean? And we should see, when he comes, TC fucking the fish.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah, I mean, we might get the TC in them by that time. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
we've kind of built into some being some
it would
craziness.
be very subtle in a way like we were
Yeah.
discussing before.
Yeah, like
you know.
some off-camera
Right.
stuff. That's what boggles my mind too. Just like you said, like they originally pitched the show as like a straight-up adaptation, and they were going to kind of go for broke. Then they kind of shifted gears on it to a point where it's like, I didn't think they would shift that much because of what their original mission statement was like. You right? You know what I mean? Like I thought we would end up in a safer place that wasn't this far.
Because Seth allows too much pot smoking to go on in the writer's room.
Hey, I wish I knew.
That's you're running with that? I like
Well,
it.
it's
I like
not-
it.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
It's just like, hey, what do we do? What can we do? And it's
I think
just,
there might be
hey,
shots.
man, wouldn't it be cool if we do this? Hey, and then that one thing rolls into
Yeah.
another, and you're just sitting there. bullshitting.
Before you know you're a million miles.
Before you know it, you're a million miles away. Everything sounds great. You go with it, but then you don't know how to get back, or you just can't get back to what you were supposed to be doing.
In my tweet exchanges that I was talking about earlier, eventually, I was just like, I pulled a quote from Jurassic Park. Like, the scientists were so busy being amazed by what they could do, they didn't stop to think if they should do it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's kind of like where I was coming from, where it was like, not everything has to be tweaked. Sometimes there's a lot of reasons. Like, don't ever forget why you ever adapted the thing you're trying to adapt. It's because you liked all the stuff that was in there.
There was no reason to ever adapt this. All they had to do was say, okay, the comic book takes place in the 90s, so we're just going to take place in the 90s.
Right.
And then we're going to just do it basically verbatim.
Yeah.
It's awesome as it is. Don't really need to mess with too much.
I mean, I'll go a step further than that and just say that if they wanted to change shit, I really wouldn't have minded. But because, like I said earlier, as a fan of shit, you have to be realistic. You have to.
Yeah. That's what Bob said too, like updating the basics and stuff like that.
Right, but the fact that the mere fact that they were going to do that and scrapped it, just goes to show it could have worked.
Oh yeah.
It's not like they scrapped it for reasons because it wasn't working or the network was afraid.
No,
they scrapped it because Sam Catlin
basically
didn't want to do it.
Well, he basically convinced
way.
them that, and basically convinced them that you can't do a TV show like that that fast. You'll burn. His thinking, he said it before, was like, oh, you'll burn through all that material so fast, which I kind of don't really believe, because it's like, well, you're doing 10 or 13, maybe tops on this network, 16 episode seasons. You're going to shoot for probably like 7 or 8 seasons. I think you could squoze that in.
About 70-something issues of material to work with.
And when you consider how much you're changing, like you're not adding story to the story that's there. You're swapping out stuff.
Exactly.
So you're not really addressing that whole time thing in a real practical way anyway. Like, you're just kind of saying, well, instead of doing X, Y, Z when they go from point A to point B, we'll do this and still get them to point B. So it's like, okay, I guess. So we covered this last one from Joe Kern. Thoughts on how the Langell's relationship with Louisiana is forming. It almost seems like Marie is a boss of sorts of a black soul market. And that's not a bad theory, as much as anything else. So
it's pretty obvious. They basically
they
did all but spell it out in the episode.
So one of the accounts I also we're friendly with is Preacher on AMC, with which is not an official account. It's a fan account. But he's pretty cool. He or she, I don't know. I don't even know if it's a real person. Like, it could be like,
a bot.
A bot. It's one of those Russian bots. So we had a quick exchange where he was like, that with the show at this point, I'm assuming that the Custers were the preachers, and then the Langels were carnival voodoo folk. And I was like, but that kind of takes away the whole thing or changes what Grandma wanted for Jesse as a kid. Like, if it's not preacherhood, like, what was she driving him towards? And he was like, well, it could be similar, like, in that they're, like, just taking up the mantle of the family business, though. Like, swap out, like, her pushing to be a preacher for, like, a leader of this, making him sure, like, he's, like, the next leader of this clan kind of thing. Because she might have been, like, in this world, she probably was looking at him, probably like she did for the TC in the book, too. Like, you're not a complete moron. You're just a dumb little kid, but, like, I can tell already, like, you're not as dumb as TC and Jody. Like, maybe she would have been gearing him up to run the place, like, eventually, like,
It's possible. Well,
it's all theorizing.
I just,
Yeah, well, you know what? Anything can happen at this point. It's not like we got to worry about source material here.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, you're right. But it's, it is an easy way to explain why he, explain his motivations for leaving Angelville at the very least.
Yeah.
Because in the book, he doesn't want to be the preacher.
Right.
So that's why he leaves.
Right.
But, right?
All I know is I want to see him underwater and with his head inside of a hermetically sealed
old wood coffin
or something.
Yeah.
Like they've already hinted at.
Yeah. So we'll get to see it when he's a kid, get it done to him, and Do they do it to him again when he goes down there? Like, they try to do it to him
I
again
don't
as an
think so.
adult?
No, I don't think so.
No.
That
right?
whole thing happens real quick. Like, spoilers.
Well, I mean, it's flashbacky stuff.
Well, no. Well,
Yeah.
when he goes back there as an adult, that's what I mean by it happens quick.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like, he's there, and, like, they kill Tulip, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
it all happens real quick.
Yeah.
But you're right, though.
Heads up, people. Possible spoilers.
Yeah,
might
possible,
Not,
if
might
you-
not actually happen in the show.
And let's not. If you've read the books,
That's
you
why I
know
didn't ring a
what
bell.
that means. But we won't elaborate. Yeah, Tulip dies, and that's that in the books. If you want to know more about that, go read the books. If you still have,
Well, some major characters die at the end there.
Well, die at the end. Tulip dies early on.
Yeah.
So let's.
Cassidy's still left standing though.
Who knew at the very end it would be.
He's sitting there with his son Denny.
It would be him and Denny at the very end, the last two survivors.
Yeah. Here, Denny, take your medicine.
We'll just make up new endings to the picture, like all
Denny
the time.
don't know where he is at this point because Denny's had a stroke.
Should we try and do that at some point?
Imagine
try to
like they
predict
do
what the
like
very end of this show is.
No, I don't even want to think about it. But imagine like I could just see it now, like Cassidy and Dennis riding on a fucking horse off into the sunset, like Tulip and Jesse do at the end of the book.
Make Denny the comic relief as the show goes on. Denny's medical condition gets worse and worse.
It gets worse and
No.
worse.
And he's like hanging around.
Get rid of him, kill him.
Bouncing around in a wheelchair and then like on a hospital bed with wheels.
And still spewing French and still not knowing what the fuck he's saying. All right. So unless there are any last minute questions that were thrown at us, let me just go and check that real quick. But I doubt it. Nope. Let's wrap it up. How about that?
Sounds good.
We've talked enough for 1 week about this show.
Ooh, have
Yeah,
we?
we got to rest our jaws for the next show.
That's right. And the next one looks like it could be meaty. Gonna get some Air Star. Air Star.
Maybe.
Well, it's in the trailers. It's in the previews.
We could be getting all that we saw in the trailer in the show for all we know.
The 12 seconds. That's it.
That's it.
12 seconds of him doing something mean. So we're excited for that. We're excited for next week. We had a lot of fun this week.
We did.
It's
Overall, like this episode.
This is a better
I think the
episode.
show's
Yeah,
getting good. Getting
I
real
think,
good.
They it did feel a little bit like whiz bang because it's like, oh, here's a crazy situation with a crazy solution. All of it introduced in the same episode.
Mm-hmm.
So it did feel like a little bit like that for me. But
little
overall, it's pretty good. I liked it a lot. The Santa Claus stuff was amazing. So if you want to send us an email, just a reminder,
Please do.
please do.
Email.
Yell at us,
Send us
correct us,
email.
tell us how stupid we are. Just don't be nice. PvP at wickedtheory.com. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. And then join us back here next week. And
And
I don't
don't
know,
forget
right?
to check out Wicked Theory.
oh yeah, we got that show too. Thanks for that, Bob. I was trying to find the sound effect that we play on the way out. I was like, where is my cue?
It's all right. And Dom, you can get in touch with Dom at.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's the send off.
Plug your Twitter here. You guys could find me on Twitter at Dom_Tory. It's TORRE.
I'm at Bob WTPC. Bill, where are you at?
I'm
Or
at
where's the show at?
Well, me and the show. We live together. We're at Wicked Theory on Twitter. The show is at wickedtheory.com. If you want to check out Wicked Theory, that's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and a whole bunch of other places. So just search it out. Check us out over there. We do it live, but it goes up as a regular podcast too. So check it out at your leisure. We do movie reviews, nerd news, and all kinds of good stuff like that.
Yep, but if you can see us live, if you can hear us live, then absolutely do, because we have chat games that go on in the chat room
That's right.
and all sorts of stuff. So there's a reason to come and hang out with us live.
Absolutely. Listen to Paula. She's going to tell you all about it right after we close it up, and I think we're closing it up.
So until
Yeah,
the world
I'm
and all, till the end of the world and all that shit.
There you go.
Peace.
The Wicked Theory podcast is heard live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern until whenever. Just go to mixler.com/wicked-theory. Mixler is MIXLR. Sign up to join the chat. Then click the follow button to get reminders whenever the show goes live. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever good podcasts are given away for free, and at wickedtheory.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/wickedtheory. There you can get the after show if you miss it live. God forbid. Plus other exclusive episodes. As always, send your emails to podcast@wickedtheory.com.